Rock, paper, scissors systems have been the developer go-to easy way to add tactical depth into gameplay. From Fire Emblem's simple swords beats, axe beats, lance beats, swords, to Pokemon's web of rock, paper, scissors systems, it always evolves into one game plan. Hit them with the weakness. If that guy has an axe, use a sword. That's a fire type, use water. If anything, RPS combat acts more of a knowledge and team check rather than tactical enrichment. You aren't making any meaningful decisions on a day-to-day basis. Either you're prepared before the fight even starts by selecting a team with good rock, paper, scissors advantage, you borrow swords when they have an axe, or Pikachu when you're fighting Misty, or you ignore the system. This is boring. Where's the player expression? Where's the tactical decision making? Yeah, I guess you can make the argument that you express yourself with the team that you make or the weapons that you use. But once combat starts, everyone just blobs into one part of the rock, paper, scissors system. If you have rock, and they are scissors, you will use rock. But hey, it can't all be bad, right? The rock, paper, scissors system has been a staple in gaming since forever. So let's go over some notable examples of rock, paper, scissors combat systems so we can see what works and what doesn't. Probably the go-to example of a rock, paper, scissors combat system, Fire Emblem first adopted the weapons triangle in 1996 with the series-changing and revolutionary title Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, introducing the well-known and sometimes mocked weapon triangle of swords, axes, and spears. In this title, each part of the system having a 20%, wait, what? Is it actually that high back then? Each part of the system had a 20% bonus in their accuracy when playing to their advantage and a 20% penalty of accuracy when going against it. Dude, they used 1 RN back then, what the fuck? Genealogy of the Holy War also added the not so much talked about magic triangle, where wind beats thunder, which beats fire, which beats wind, which is then grouped into a bigger category called anima, and then they're all gamed on by both light and dark magic. Later on in the series, the magic system would change to anima beats light, which beats dark, which beats anima, until it was changed again where anima got its old intertriangle back with the new greater triangle. And this is why nobody talks about the magic triangle. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Oh yeah, and bows exist, and they're outside the triangle, until Fates came along, and they integrated everything into the triangle, and then 3 houses decided to get rid of the triangle, and changes aside, the Fire Emblem weapon triangle system exemplifies some of the strengths of the rock, paper, scissors system, but also shows how boring and ineffective this type of system can be at the exact same time. It is simple and easy to follow and adds some very slight strategic value to the game by making you think a little bit when it comes to making your main team and taking engagements. You can't run all axe boys without getting punished. Well, you can't really run all axe boys anyways since there are not enough axes used to only run them, but that's beside the point. However, it does feel great when the random axe wielding bandits can't even hope to hit your sword wielding lords. The system is very gratifying to the player when they play towards it, even if it's almost always in your favor and handed on a silver platter like it is in Fire Emblem. But the weapon triangle itself is pretty weak in most Fire Emblem games, where you barely even notice it and eventually it becomes irrelevant. If not enforced right, RPS combat adds nothing to the game and might as well not exist. Pokemon's weakness system is essentially a large rock, paper, scissors, lizard, gun, well spot game. Fire is good against grass, which is good against water, which is good against fire, which is good against ground. You get the point. Unlike Fire Emblem's triangle, a Pokemon is not locked into one choice of rock, paper, scissors, as the typing of the move they use determines one side, and the defender's elemental typing determines the other. The water-type Gyarados can use the fire move Flamethrower to easily kill the grass-type Vileplume, using the elemental rock, paper, scissors system for its favor, while at a glance it looks like Gyarados is at a huge disadvantage. The separation between offensive side and defensive side of RPS combat opens up the system way more. It allows mind games, forcing one to think and worry if the enemy Pokemon has a good coverage move that will go against the perceived rock, paper, scissors advantage. It's not like Fire Emblem where you know your Axeman is safe in a sea of spear users. There's a bit of uncertainty built into the system, a whole new layer of decision making where tactical deception and unpredictability shine. Pokemon's not all mind games though. If you follow your defensive RPS typing with your aggressive move, for example a fire type using a fire move, the game rewards you by making you do 50% more damage, creating an opportunity cost of if you're going to attack with a move of your type or some other type to play against the weakness. But actually no. The opportunity cost is not really a thing because weaknesses are just more damage than a stab bonus. If you have a stab move and a super effective move available to you, you will use the super effective move. It's times 2 damage, 50% more if you're going to use a stab move. Rather than being tactical, Pokemon's combat is just very knowledge and team check heavy. You just kind of go through a checklist of trying to deal the most damage. The thought process is usually, do I have a super effective move? To, is my stab move not resisted? To, do I have a move of neutral damage? Sure, this is more thought than Fire Emblem, but the thought process is still the same. hit with a weakness for more damage. It's just that in Pokemon there's alternatives to if you didn't bring rock when they brought scissors. If only there was a game that had an RPS system that didn't devolve strategy to me see paper, me use scissors. Rock, paper, scissors systems have been solved already. Actually, almost a decade ago at this point, a system where there's a thought process and opportunity cost to follow the rock, paper, scissors or not, where it's even debatable if rock even beats scissors. This was accomplished by the semi-obscure visual novel strategy game Eiyuu Senki World Conquest. Unbeknownst to the two people who played it on the Vita, Eiyuu Senki is actually a hentai game. For the sake of brevity, I'm only going to talk about the advantage system and what the series have done to elevate rock, paper, scissors combat into a whole new level. The earlier titles in the Eiyuu Senki series had a really messy system akin to Pokemon, that follows a pattern but doesn't really wrap up nicely. Yeah, it's really a mess, but you can kinda see the pattern with red being good against almost everything, and blue being good against almost nothing. The thing is, even though fists do more damage to gun units, and it's called advantage, it's debatable if it's really better to do so. Attacks in Eiyuu Senki serve two purposes: to deal damage to kill your opponent, and to build Brave. Brave is a resource that's consumed to use more powerful moves, kinda like supers in a fighting game or ults in a MOBA. Advantage attacks deal ×2 damage, but generates less Brave and gives the defender a big chunk of Brave, while attacks that are not at advantage deal less damage, but generate a lot of Brave and gives your opponent only a really small amount. You actually have to think, do I go for the damage and wipe out a key target early and risk a powerful Brave charged counterattack, or do some chip damage to get some Brave for later, or risk the enemy wiping out my forces with a powerful attack? It's not, I see gun, I use sword. There are consequences beyond trying to do more damage. This amazing system was further evolved in the mobile game version of Eiyuu Senki, Eiyuu Senki War Wonder, where the combat was cleaned up into a weapon triangle that had sub-triangles. Along with that, they added resistances and moved the Brave game bonus to attacking someone who resists your damage, which then creates a question: which side is actually advantage? Who is rock and who's paper? Because both schools of thought, more damage or more meter, works as an advantage. Eiyuu Senki's combat is filled with so many mind games and opportunity costs, it creates a tactical sandbox with a ton of player expression. You could build a team of quick units that deal a ton of damage to wipe out your opponents early, and using that sweet ×2 advantage damage to make sure all enemies die before having a turn, or a team of bulky units to generate a ton of Brave and using constant Brave attacks to burst down the enemy, or a bunch of fast units intentionally not going for advantage, and a slightly slower carry using advantage Brave attacks to wipe out a few key targets early, or somewhere in the middle, or even more polarizing and more. All this in a shitty porn game that nobody even played. Rest in peace, EN servers. Rock, paper, scissors combat is a design that forces checks and balances on the sandbox of a game. For the most part, the gaming industry as a whole hasn't done anything much with the system, stagnating with a game design that's almost 3 decades old. However, there has been some genuine attempts to make the system better and add some player expression to it. Unfortunately, it's mostly overlooked despite how much it adds and improves upon gameplay. Basically, Nintendo bad and play hentai games.